Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to The Creative at the Speed of Sport. My name is Daniel G, and I am a partner in the Sheridan's Sports and Entertainment team. Today, we are talking about content that needs to be delivered at speed and scale. And although we have a sports theme, I know some of you are joining us from other industries where you have familiar challenges too. That's why I'm really excited today to introduce you to Remake, which is a fantastic new tool that simplifies the process of scaling content and the team behind it, including CEO and founder Daniel Roby. Great to have you with us, Daniel.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for inviting me. Good to be here.
Can you see me okay? I'm just double checking.
I can, yeah.
Perfect. So for the first 20 minutes or so today, this will be a bit more of a fireside chat with Daniel before moving on to for us to demonstrate actually what the Remake platform looks like, and as well as then having a little bit of a Q&A for any particular queries you have on the actual product as well. But seeing as this is all about speed, we are aiming to try and keep this to around 45 minutes. So we will hopefully have you already at your desks, but you'll be able to either get out for lunch or get on with your day by about 20 to 2 UK time. So Daniel, if I can ask you just a couple of questions to start off with. It's fair to say that Remake is a product of experience. To get us started, could you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what problem Remake is aiming to solve?
Yeah, cheers, Dan. Thanks for inviting me. It's good to be here. So I'm Daniel Roby, founder of Remake. The problem it's solving was actually a problem we had as an agency. We, as an agency, version a lot of content, creating different shapes, sizes, languages, messaging. We know that it's quite time consuming. We know a lot of people face the sort of lag between brief and delivery and the time that it takes between quite a lot of different stakeholders. We knew as a business that we couldn't just add more people to solve that problem. As we all know, there's more and more content out there every day. And certainly the complexity of video content was only taking longer. And whether you're an entertainment brand, a sports team, an FMCG business, then you need more and more content. So we built a tool for ourselves. We've managed thousands of campaigns over the last 15 to 20 years for a number of global entertainment studios from Disney and Warner and Netflix and Amazon and so on. And we knew we needed to build a solution that could help us be more efficient. So something that could help us scale content, versioning the content for audiences, and obviously delivering it and deploying it to an audience. It needed to be faster, and we needed to do it cheaper.
The end result then, I guess, is obviously Remake. So I guess briefly, before we see the demonstration, what exactly is it and how does it work?
You'll see in a second. It's a very, very simple web-based tool. One of our principles, one of our mantras that we say within Remake is brutal simplicity. It's a web-based tool that anyone without any technical experience, they don't need to have any creative experience, technical experience, design experience, code experience, can log on, enter our platform. If an asset's in the system, they can make changes to that asset, which might be changing a pack shot, it might be changing the language, a price, the text. In some cases for clients, they've changed product shots or backgrounds and even in video sequences. And then deploy those make those changes and then deploy those final ads straight out to either their media plan or a social platform. And they can do that manually, one at a time, or within the platform, they can do hundreds at the same time. And that's really where the power comes in for speed and efficiency. If you're changing an ad into 50 different languages, or if you're updating betting odds or prices for a pack shot, or if you're a makeup brand and you've got 50 different colors for one product, you can do it in minutes within our system. And the whole philosophy behind the system is brutal simplicity. In fact, some clever person in our marketing came up with the slogan that even our CEO can use it, which I won't take offense, but I think it's smart.
Debatable still nonetheless.
I'm not doing the demo today.
Now, one of the things in the title of what we're speaking about, obviously, was thinking about speed. And one of the things we talked about beforehand in terms of Remake was potentially saving brands 80% on their budget, which is obviously a huge number. I'm not the mathematician, I'm a lawyer by trade, so you might have to at least take me through at least some of the benefits, because that's a pretty bold claim, I guess.
And to be fair, that's probably a lowball number. I actually think we can, and we have demonstrated with clients, that we can save them 80% plus on their budget. We say to clients that we can save them 200% on time. The key with Remake is that it protects the brand and controls the ad, so the client doesn't have to worry about any of the design breaking or changing. It's exactly as the ad should be. And the speed comes in by the system. Client might send an email to an agency might spend a day or two, a few hours in fast cases, a little bit of backwards and forwards, approving, checking, what does it look like? There's different stakeholders in a business that need to see ads, and everyone's got comments, whereas in our system, everything's in it. So actually the time efficiency could be hundreds of hours saved, certainly on bigger campaigns, but it's obviously relative to the number of ads. And the cost, we've seen a huge array of prices where, of course, you might have someone in your office making changes for you, but actually we believe that Remake powers and enables those people to do more work more efficiently and faster. But if you're outsourcing to an agency, and even if the agency is abroad or an outsource model, it's in the hundreds of pounds per ad per version. A lot of agencies have caps on the number of changes you can make. Within Remake, you can make as many changes as you like. You only get charged for your final ad. So the budget savings are huge. And that's what we're demonstrating to our clients.
The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking that I need a friends and family discount for some of the content I'm going to do, but we can talk about that later. We probably couldn't make it through any webinar. I'm conscious that a lot of people get zoomed out, so I'm very appreciative of everyone for tuning in and listening today to us chat about Remake generally. But it would be remiss of us not to talk about pandemic and everyone making that digital change, that more online change, and the impact it's had on so many industries. How have you, I guess, pivoted, made Remake even more relevant, bearing in mind this quite interesting product and how it's best supporting business during the time?
Yeah, I mean, we were building Remake way before the pandemic. We needed to create efficiencies, as I said, for our own business, for cost and time saving. So we already had a solution in place. We also saw before the pandemic a significant change in the world with in-housing and a lot of teams going in-house. And we saw a need and an opportunity to help enable those teams. The pandemic's really just sped it up. I mean, Zoom wasn't created for the pandemic, but of course it's just grown exponentially as a service, as a solution to needs. We've seen significant feedback and opportunities with some of the clients that we talk to, where teams are displaced, they're working in different locations, they've still got to centralize their creative, they've still got to get those ads approved. And we've seen Remake as a solution to that. So, it sits in the cloud, everything's accessible, there's no installation in offices, it's all very focused for displaced teams. It's how we built it. So we've seen an opportunity with COVID, I guess, just to help us expedite growth, and teams needing to be enabled by these solutions. We say within our sort of organization that it's a people enabler, and I think it's fair to say at the moment, with resource challenges, the world's waking up, everyone's very busy, it's challenging to hire. We see Remake as an enabler to actually help teams be more efficient and work smarter not harder. Make light of very repetitive and laborious tasks is what it does.
So Daniel, before we get on to the meat of the presentation, which is going to be actually looking through the remake tool itself and seeing how you can actually and pretty easily make some cool, very interesting content. What's next on the journey for remake? Obviously now you've garnered a lot of interest and working with some fantastic brands on all of their projects. How's it been?
It's a really exciting journey. You mentioned brands. We've got Unilever. Unilever were the first company to sign on to the platform. I think that was a really big indication for us as to the power and scale of the opportunity out there. We've got a couple of film studios on the platform. We've got a game company, King.com, is on the platform. Working with very different stakeholders from procurement and finance and operations to create efficiencies, working with marketing teams and in-house teams to create efficiencies. Obviously, for us, the exciting thing now moving forward is working closer with creatives, allowing them to do what they do best. All of those three buckets are how we decide and define the features that we're building and how we decide what should be added to the system. The system, what we like about the system is it's a plug and play. It's not, and it's worth mentioning, it's not an entire tech stack. It's not a really complicated tech stack. We can have clients in the system in minutes or hours. You'll see in a second with the demo. So all of the features that we're doing are just to make life easier. We recently launched a facility where instead of just versioning one ad, you can version 10,000 at the same time if you so wanted to. We're now developing and about to launch, hopefully Q4, a feature which we call one-to-many, which allows you to change one ad, but the output can be deployed in different sizes. So again, everything is about efficiency, everything is about simplicity and improving the workflow within an organization. We've got a lot of interest from partners who want to plug us into their tech stack to enhance their facility and functionality, which is only exciting for us. So it's exciting times ahead.
And I think, Dan, when we were talking, especially with Dan Dalman for preparing for all of this in the first place, and obviously our both experience in the entertainment and sports space, one of the things we were really thinking about, which I know we're going to have a look at the tool with some sports assets ready to go, was sports clubs, federations, rights holders who, this feels, without trying to be too markety, this feels like exactly the type of thing, if they don't have, that would make a lot of sense from all those efficiencies perspective. So no one wants to hear me drone on for any longer than necessary. I think now what we're going to have is a demo with a few sports assets ready to go. Yeah.
So Jake, we've got a couple of my team around. Jake's going to give us a demo now. There he is. He's going to show us how simple it is. I mean, this is live, so it's real time. How we update content and how you can make some of the changes, how you can do that at scale. We call that feature our bulk versioning, and show how you can edit a video and approve and then deploy some of those assets. Over to you, Mr. Waxman.
Thank you for the intro. Hi all, I'm just going to share my screen. My name is Jake, as Dan mentioned. I'll be giving you a brief demo of the Remake platform. All in all, as Daniel mentioned, Remake has the ability to version both video and static content at scale. For today's demo, I'm going to focus on video and some of Remake's core features. So what I'm going to cover is how to version your content into what we call remakes, how to quickly preview an asset change to save time, how to approve and share that content, and also how to make bulk changes so you can scale your content. So without further ado, let's jump into the platform. So as you can see here, this is the platform. And for the purpose of this demo, we'll be versioning this simple betting ad that I have here, which I'll play for you now. Good thing to note about Remake is it allows you to version text, audio, and video. So that's what the capabilities are of the platform alongside statics as well. So that was a simple ad. Creating a remake is very simple. So let me just show you how that is done. So initially, we'll find our original, which is the one I just showed you there. And we can navigate to where it says Create Remake here. We'll simply click Create Remake. And for the case of this, I'm going to change this advert to a rugby ad instead of it being dedicated to football. So the next screen that we're presented with here is your video that's within the platform, as we just played. And here you'll see that it has all these different numbered nodes. So what these nodes do is they find the versionable fields within your assets, and that's where the nodes will land. So here, as you can see, we've got the football PNG, which is in its own node. We've got the video, which we can also switch out, the text, and so on. So for this case, I will change all of this to a rugby. So for example, I'll choose a picture of a rugby ball that I have locally. I'll just upload that to the system. I'll do the same for the video. I'll switch it for some rugby footage, which you can see there. And I'll change the teams to England versus Wales. And then the same again, another bit of footage, the end part of that video, which we can upload. And then say first try scorer. And then we'll choose odds 10 to 1, for example. Once you're happy with all the changes you've made on Remake, you can then click Update. And then, as you'll see up here, the Add to Queue will become pressable once the assets have uploaded. And we simply click Add to Queue. And this will now appear in our queue in the bottom left corner, where we can push the asset out to render. Good thing to note is that the assets can take anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes to render, depending on the complexity of the ad. So whilst we wait for that to render, it is good to note that there are no templates needed for Remake. So whatever you design and bring into the platform, Remake will acknowledge, which means there are no compromises. So all your plugins, your animations, your fonts, your effects, that will all stay consistent when pushing out your content. So there is really no experience, like Dan said. Anybody can use it, from the intern to all the way up to your CEO. So the process for video, whilst we're still waiting for that to render, is pretty much the same for statics. So Remake works where it works with Adobe services, so with Photoshop and After Effects at the moment. So if you ingested a PSD, for example, just a very basic PSD here, you can go in and also make just the same amount of changes you can with a video to a static. So for this example, I'll just show you, we have an example here. So this is a PSD file, and we can see, first team. We'll just change that to first team, for example. Click Update, and straight away it will make the changes to your PSD that you can then export out as a JPEG, PNG, or as a PSD file if you wanted to make further edits. But there are quite a few more functions in static that we could get into in a further demo if needed. So whilst I was doing that, we could see that the render down in the queue finished. So that's appeared up here in our notification panel. So we can either go ahead and view the content through the notification panel, or we can go back to the campaign level and have a look at the new content that we've just pushed out through the system, which I'll play now. So as you can see, this is all changed now. So it's rugby specific instead of football, all within the space of about a minute, give or take. So yeah, so that was the new render that we just pushed out through the system. As you can probably see here, there's a watermark over the Remake. What this basically is that you have a subscription-based subscription. So every Remake will come off your subscription, but only once it's approved. This hasn't been approved, so you can go back and make as many amends or changes as you want, share it around internally to get approval or anything. But once you're happy and you want to remove the watermark, this is where we come onto the approval and sharing process. So as you can see, there's a button here called, it's named Approve, or if you go back on a campaign level, you also have it on the asset here. So for this example, we'll click Approve. And as you can see here, it will say, we will deduct one Remake from your subscription. And we're happy with the asset, we'll click Approve. This will now appear in your Remake section, where it's now approved, as you can see here. And here we have the option to share. So that you can pre-connect all your socials and you can share to them as you wish. So yeah, that was creating a remake. So lastly, what I want to actually no, before I do that, sorry, I want to go on to another cool feature that we have called live preview. So what live preview is it'll allow you to make changes without having to wait for a render. So as an example for this, we just pushed out that whole content and saw it at the end. But for this example, we can actually change content within the asset. And without pushing it out to render, we can actually use this thing called toggle frame preview, which will allow us to update the preview, and we can get an idea of what the content's going to look like once we push it out. So it's quite good because this can allow you to react to like the speed of the game, and you can really just make the changes on the fly like that. And once you're happy, you can then push it out to the queue and then render as you wish. So that is one of our very cool features that we have as part of Remake. What I'm going to go on to lastly is the act of versioning content in bulk. We call it volume versioning. So it's a way of using external data to scale your campaigns. In this case, I'll be using a simple CSV document to illustrate the process. So as you can see here, we've got the CSV. This can be done with any original. I've just got a separate video here. But you can simply hover over the video and click download CSV. What this will do is download a CSV document stating all the layers within your content that are versionable. And I'll go to one that I've already pre-made before the demo to show you, to give you an example. So the CSV would come as just one title, one row at the top, and each new row underneath will signify a new remake, which will be pushed out into the platform. So for this example, I've just created 5 new remakes with 5 different players, all with different odds, that once I'm happy with, I can then export it as a CSV and come straight back into the platform. And again, hover over the video and click create from CSV. So once I do that, I can then upload the CSV, which is the one I just showed you here. And I can click open, which will then allow me to click next. And as you can see, Remake has now found that there's 5 new remakes based on the rows that were in that CSV. And as Daniel mentioned earlier, it can be hundreds of that. It can be as many as you want. But for this, we'll just show you that it's 5. We'll click upload 5 remakes. And what the system has done now, it has now created 5 new remakes based on the titles that I put into each row. And you can go in, if you wish, make some changes maybe to the odds. You can see it's been made to say we wanted to change this to 5 to 1. Simply click update. And then we can choose as many or as little as we want to actually push out to render. So it's another good thing for being on the fly of a game. If you wanted to only push out a couple instead of all, that's what really helps. But once you have selected the ones that you want, you simply follow the same process of adding the selected to the queue. And then you'd push them out to render as you wish. And it will render them all, and they'll all appear in your campaign level or through the notifications panel on the side. So yeah, that brings my demo to a close. So in summary, what I've shown you is how to instantly preview content, how to version video content, how to share and approve, and how to scale your content. I also gave you a little insight into how to also version your statics. So yeah, and as you can see, Remake is really designed for speed, scale, and simplicity. So, and with that, I'll hand you back to you, Daniel. Thank you all so much.
Thanks for that, Jake. Super cool. Obviously, this is a quick webinar, and we know that we don't want to hold people up. If anyone does want a longer demo, and there's lots of other features to do with admin system setup, privileges, all sorts of nice little gadgets within the system, just let one of us know and we can set that up for you. But it is quite cool that we built a tool that within a few minutes, we can actually show you what it does in real time and demonstrate the scale. It hopefully stands by our philosophy of brutal simplicity.
Firstly, thank you, and yeah, in true speed and efficiency style, finishing a few minutes early is great. Only I would say a few things. The presentation was fantastic. It was clear. It was concise. It was it's the first time I'd seen it in a lot of detail, which is fantastic. I also think the other thing which has been great about the half an hour or so plus is actually people are asking lots of interesting questions that hopefully shows that people are engaged and are interested really, and interested enough to ask about some money situation, because that usually is where things things start moving. So yeah, firstly, thank you for joining us. I hope it's given everyone listening and watching something to think about, that there is a new, maybe more simple way to produce and execute content at scale, which obviously is vital these days. Daniel, any more next steps for our guests that you just want to emphasize or re-emphasize?
Yeah, if anyone's got any more questions, then email me, Daniel at remake.video, or any of the team. Our website, remake.video, has got lots of questions and a book demo form. And I think someone is going to chuck in the chat a link any minute now to a couple of white papers and documents that we've been, there we go, a couple of white papers and documents that we've been working on that just gives you a deeper insight into some real life case studies. Thank you. Super.
So thank you again, Daniel. Yeah, go ahead. Feel free to reach out to Daniel. I'm sure I'd love to hear from you, because ultimately this is, in my experience of Sheridan's working alongside Remake, we've developed a really great, long-term, long-lasting relationship that we hope will, exist for many more years to come. There's going to be lots more events, hopefully coming your way from Sheridan's and Remake more generally, so keep eyes peeled. But for now, thanks all for attending, and see everyone again soon.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, everyone.